Hey guys, it's Devin and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a mommy tag video, which I thought fun. I haven't done like a mommy tag video in quite some time, and this is just a lot of questions talking about what it was like being a new mom, things that I've experienced along the way, and like tips and tricks that I've kind of learned that I want to share with you guys. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 questions. So let's just get into it. So number one is my favorite mommy hack, and it's kind of like a random thing, but where I live in the wintertime it gets super cold, so my favorite mommy hack are these stroller gloves. So they're these Velcro gloves that Velcro onto your stroller handle, and it's super convenient for me because I'm the type of mom that'll never remember to bring gloves with me when I leave the door. So they stay on my stroller all winter long, so it's really convenient when you're running into the store from the parking lot or school drop-offs or anything, because you always have warm toasty gloves right there waiting for you. And they have been a lifesaver multiple times, and people always ask me about them in stores whenever they see them. So they're actually in my Amazon shop, and I'll leave the link below if you guys are interested in checking them out. I actually saw them on Emily Norris's channel like maybe a year or two ago somewhere, or maybe it was her like Instagram stories or something, but they have changed my life. Second thing is most embarrassing moment as a mom. And I had a hard time thinking of one for this because I've had many embarrassing moments as a mom. It's funny because my son didn't really throw tons of big, huge tantrums, but my daughter has, and it's always embarrassing, like at the store in Target or something, or when you're waiting online about to leave, where they throw a gigantic, huge tantrum in the middle of nowhere, and everyone's staring at you. So that's happened multiple times, but there was one time I remember being at the store with my son, and he had a huge, gigantic blowout, and I didn't have a diaper. I had wipes with me, and for some reason I had forgotten to pack a diaper. So I had to leave everything in the store. I went into the car, I wiped him down, put him in some clothes without a diaper, and had to drive home to change him. So that was super embarrassing and awkward, and I learned my lesson after that, but that was definitely one for the books. The next one is my favorite part of the day, and that's definitely morning time. My kids both end up in my bed some point of the night, and in the morning time we wake up and they're very like snuggly in the morning, and it's just really precious to me, that time that we spend together to kind of wake up slowly. I'm not the type of mom that wakes up before my kids do, even though I wish I was, but part of me also cherishes that time with them to snuggle in the morning and get up together, even though it's not as productive as it can be. But I know that that's not going to last forever, because when they're teenagers and a little older, they're not going to want to snuggle with me. So I enjoy it while it lasts. So that's my favorite part of the day. The next question is my least favorite part of the day, and it's that witching hour. All of us have it. It's a different time of day for everyone a little bit, but for me it's like an hour or two before bedtime when they start getting tired and they're kind of whiny and just not their best selves. So that's a very difficult time for me, and I'm sure that's the same with every other mom as well. Next thing is the worst thing someone had said to me when I was pregnant. There's probably a few of those, but probably a few women commented like, just so you know, your body's never going to be the same after this. And it's kind of like, why do you need to say, why say that to someone? You're already like sick, your stomach is growing, all these new things are happening to your body. It's obviously something that's already crossed your mind that your body's going to change, and to say that to someone is just very like unnecessary. And just for any of you guys watching, if you hadn't had your baby yet, yes, you can get your body back after baby. I did get my flat stomach back, but you got to be patient with yourselves. It took me like a good year, if not two, to be back to normal. So like I remember like after 9 months being like, okay, like I can deal with this, I can work with this, it's a lot better. After a year it was so much better. That's when I stopped nursing. I think you kind of have more time to get back into your workout routine, and by 2 years, which is when I get pregnant again, of course, I totally felt pretty much back to myself. So don't let any women tell you that. That's not nice. Don't listen to them. So next thing, baby name that I didn't like, that we didn't like agree on. It's not that I don't like this name. My husband loved the name Lincoln, and I do like that name. It just didn't do anything for me. It wasn't my favorite. I didn't picture my son being named Lincoln, and he was like so stuck on that name, and we just couldn't agree on it, so we didn't choose it. Do we co-sleep? Yes and no. That wasn't ever the plan, but I ended up co-sleeping with my son for like the first year or so. It just worked out that way. I think especially when you nurse, it just makes your life a lot easier when you could just roll over and nurse them, because I was a zombie during that time. And the same thing happened with my daughter. My daughter we put in the crib a bit sooner just because she sleeps better on her own. My son is a really deep sleeper and he did just fine in our bed and wouldn't wake up if I moved around. And my daughter, as much as she loves sleeping with us, she doesn't sleep well. So we put her in her crib sooner. But like I said, they both end up in a room still at some point in the night. Baby product or baby thing that we bought and never used. For me, it was pacifiers. We like loaded up on those pacifiers. They're always like a really cute like gift to get. We had like the mustache pacifiers and everything for my son. They had really cute ones, but neither of my kids liked pacifiers. So there was tons of pacifiers that went to waste. I wish they liked pacifiers, but yeah, neither of them took to them very well. I was like the human pacifier for them, which probably isn't good either. 3 hospital must-have. 3 hospital bag must-haves. I don't know. Probably fuzzy socks. The hospital socks that they give you are terrible. So bring your own fuzzy socks and make sure that they have traction on the bottom, because that definitely made a difference, especially if you're walking the hallways a little bit before you're in serious labor. Also, I brought my own underwear. The underwear they give you is like gauze underwear, which is like really like not the best. You already feel like terrible and gross right after labor, so to be like wrapped in gauze was not the best feeling in the world. So I went and bought like really big comfortable granny panties that I brought with me. So that's number 2. And number 3, we brought an extension cord, which actually came in handy big time, because usually there's only one outlet and you're taking like a bunch of pictures, and some people like music playing. I liked having my phone available after the baby was born, and my husband was trying to charge his phone and his iPad, so it was nice to have an extension cord that had multiple outlets in it. So that's a random thing to bring with you, but we did. Are you a routine mom or like a go with the flow mom, and what is your bedtime routine? I'm definitely a go with the flow mom, probably to the max. I do like to have some sort of a routine, but I'm not like a super like schedule, calendar, to-do list type of mom. Sometimes I wish I was more that way because it keeps you a little bit more on task, but I'm definitely a go with the flow mom. I do try to keep routine with the important things during the day, so I do kind of have a bedtime routine. It's not always the same time every night. It's usually somewhere between 6 and 7:30, depending on the kids and the type of day I had, if they're tired, etc. But we usually get in pajamas, brush teeth, we get in bed, we read 3 books, so they pick their books. We go to the library a lot during the week, so we always have different books that we're kind of rotating, so they pick 3 books that we read. Then they each go into their own beds. They share a room right now, so then they go each into their separate beds, and I usually sing 2 songs to them, and then kisses and a drink. Both of them constantly want to drink before bed. This is like a weird thing that they do, and they will probably call me back in the room at some point tonight during the night to give them water again. But that's the routine. Then they go to bed. Good night. Lights out. We have this alarm clock that has changed our life with our daughter. It's a sleep training alarm clock. It looks like a dog and it's holding a ball, and at nighttime you set it for the time that you want them to go to sleep, and it turns red, and it stays red all night long until you set it to a time that they're okay to wake up. So we set it to 5 a.m. because she's allowed to come in our room after 5 a.m. and it turns green, and usually sometime around then you'll hear her calling for us to come in our room. So that has changed our lives. I'm sure your kid has to be old enough to understand that, but I think it's just like a thing that they see that reminds them when they wake up that it's sleep time and it's not time to wake up. So definitely try that. I'll link that down below as well. Next thing, type of labor that I had and what kind of pain relief did I use. I had a terrible labor with both of them. I am the type of person that I do not progress. So both of them I went to about 41 weeks. My son, I did not go into labor and I needed to be induced. And that went pretty quick. I went to like 0 to 100 and I labored for about 15 hours before I got an epidural. The 15 hours, at some point I did have some sort of pain medication. I don't remember the name of it, but it kind of like makes you drowsy. It only lasted for me for 15 minutes and they said they'd only give it to you every 3 hours. I was like, what type of person invents a drug that lasts for 15 minutes and can only be used every 3 hours? That was torturous. But yeah, I finally couldn't take it anymore. I asked for an epidural, and within literally minutes of getting the epidural, I needed an emergency C-section. So I don't know if it was the epidural itself that led to that, but yeah, so that was pretty intense. So Cullen was an emergency C-section, and then with my daughter, I couldn't get induced. That wasn't an option because it was a VBAC, and they don't like to do that during VBACs. I mean, my doctor didn't want to do that during a VBAC. So I did go into labor naturally with her. If I didn't, I had to just go in for a scheduled C-section. I went into labor the day before my scheduled C-section. I labored for 21 hours. I could not get an epidural. They didn't want me to get an epidural. But I did have some kind of pain drugs now and then. But that was a terrible labor because they told me like 8 hours in that I was going to need a C-section, but I wasn't an emergency and they had people ahead of me. So I labored for 21 hours total, knowing that I was going to get a C-section. So yeah, that was awful. But you know what, you guys? Totally worth it. I did also, during that, get a, what's it called? Spinal migraine because they pricked me and my spinal fluid was leaking. So I had like a terrible migraine for a week after having Isla, as well as those, when they open you up for C-section, sometimes you get like air bubbles inside of you. I guess how they explained it, and I had them all stuck up in here. And that was super painful as well. So yeah, those are my labor experiences, but that does not mean it's happening to you. I know plenty of women that have had great, easy, amazing labors, so don't let that frighten you. I just did not have the best experiences. Anyway, have I ever been mom shamed? Of course I've been mom shamed. I think everybody has been mom shamed at some point. I can't remember specific instances, but I know lots of people giving me unwanted advice or unwanted information or opinions on choices that I've made for my kids, especially my son, because he did have like speech delay and other issues when he was younger. You know, people always have their opinion on that and things that I was doing, but you kind of just don't need to care. I remember when he was about 2 years old, somebody that I knew but didn't know well, we were somewhere where we were sitting for a long period of time, and I remember my son was very frustrated, and especially for any of you that have kiddos with speech delays, you know that they can go through a phase where they tend to hit a lot because they are very frustrated because you can't understand what they're trying to say to you. So Cullen never did that terribly, but he did when he especially was overtired or something, he would tend to like hit. And a normal 2-year-old does that a little bit as well, but he probably did it a little bit more than usual. I remember this particular day, I was doing everything that I could to like calm him down, and we did a couple of different timeouts during that time. Like it wasn't like I was just letting him do it, we were disciplining him. And this woman came up to me after and said, you know, you really need to do something about your son hitting you. It's very inappropriate, and he really needs to learn not to do that. I remember being so irritated. First of all, this woman did not have children. I knew she was trying to be helpful, but it was hurtful, especially as a new mom and being frustrated and people not understanding my situation. So I, in a very nice way, explained, you know, he hits because he is frustrated because he can't talk. He has a speech delay, so that's normal for kids with speech delays, and I'm doing my best that I know how to. And then I kind of left it at that, and I think she kind of felt bad about what she said, but it just makes you think. It made me think as well, because I'm sure I've done this to other people before. You make assumptions about people that you don't really know people's situations, so you kind of have to be careful about that, because you don't know what a mom's day looked like or their kid's day looked like or why they're acting the way they're acting. So just be aware of that, because it's easy to kind of judge by the cover, you know. Next thing is biggest challenge since becoming a mom. I think that has been not caring about other people's opinion. That's the type of person I am. I used to care a lot what people thought about me, and since becoming a mom, that's become way less, and I think you kind of have to do that because the decisions you make are no longer to please other people. They're to do what's best for you and your kid, whether people agree with it or not. So that's a big lesson that I agreed with. You know, that's a big lesson that I learned and challenge that I've learned since becoming a mom, is you kind of have to go with your mom gut, and decisions and choices that you make for your kid and your family, you just kind of have to stay strong on that and not really care what other people have to say. Not that you shouldn't like take people's advice and think about it, and you know, they also have had experience, so obviously take that into consideration, but at the end of the day, it's you and your family, so you can't worry about other people's opinions. Next thing is best advice to give and best advice you've been given. That's a hard one. That's probably similar to the last one, is to be confident in yourself and your own decisions. And, you know, especially when you're a new mom or a first-time mom, I know I'm way more confident with being a second-time mom than I was with being a first-time mom. But, you know, either way, it's your journey and it's your time to figure out what's best for you and your kiddo. So you can't really let other people get in the way of that. And that's a process that you just learn along the way. You're not going to know all the answers right off the bat. So kind of just go with the flow and go with your own intuition and gut, because you do kind of know what's best for your family. And the best advice I've been given, that's probably to not forget to take time for yourself, because especially as a new mom, you get so wrapped up in baby world, you kind of forget about yourself. And what's that saying is you can't pour out of an empty cup, which is absolutely true. And I know I've done that many, many times. I have poured out of an empty cup. But it really does exhaust you after a while. So it's not that you have to take a lot of time, but whatever calms you. At the end of the night, read a book or go to the gym or tell your husband to watch the kids and go get your nails done every once in a while, or go for a walk in the park by yourself. Whatever calms you down and helps refill you, you got to do it. Even though sometimes it seems like you don't have the time for it, you have to make the time, because it makes a really big difference. And when you are more revitalized, you're a better mom. Next thing is, who is your mom crush? I'm going to go with YouTube mom crushes, because I have real life mom crushes, but nobody will know who that is. So my YouTube mommy crush that I have mentioned before in my favorite YouTube influencers video a few videos back is Angela Braniff. She's probably going to think I'm a stalker because I'm mentioning her again. Hi Angela, if you're watching this. She's probably my mom crush. I can relate to her a lot, and her personality and her sense of humor. And she has 7 kids, you guys, 7 kids. Some are her own, some are adopted. They're just such a, like, awesome family, how they interact with each other. She's a homeschool mom. She's just super mom. And that doesn't mean that she has it all together all the time, because she doesn't. But, you know, it always works out, and she is just kind of along for the ride, which I think is awesome. And she always is, you know, funny. Her and her husband are really funny together. And I think that's part of the thing about being a mom. You don't have to be perfect. You don't always have to be perfectly organized. You don't always seem like you have to have it all together. That's not what it means to be a good mom. It means to make sure your kids are loved and fed and happy every day, and that you've spent time together. It doesn't matter if your house is perfect or everything looks perfect from the outside. It just matters that feeling in your home. And I definitely get that vibe from her channel, and I hope that you guys get that vibe from my channel as well, because I think that's the most important thing in a family is love. So that is my new mom tag. If you guys want to do this mommy tag, definitely let me know. Especially if you guys have a YouTube channel and you're a mom, do this tag and then let me know that you did it. And otherwise, if you guys don't have a YouTube channel, please leave me in the comment section below answers to your questions. I would like to hear them. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe for future updates. And if you're already subscribed, welcome back. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.